influences when you was coming up and you was running the hood?
The L Brothers. At this time, L Brothers was like the first tape I heard. Long Island groups was like Family Affair. Nelson PR.
You got EPMD, you got De La, you got Biz, you got JVC Force.
K-Solo, Groovy Chill, remember Gene Allen, you know what I'm saying? We had Rockhead, that was 2 towns over in Wine Dance. We had De La Soul, that was 1 town over from him. Public Enemy.
CBS, you know, Bays and they left the, you know, Long Island crews. Darryl was Breakout at that time. His name was MC Breakout. And there's a lot of Long Island crews, but like New Yorkers are a big influence too. Whenever I could listen to a tape, you know what I mean? Like, and then after I heard Elbows, I heard a Flash tape. You know what I mean? Flash and the Furious 4. I still got that tape to this day.
We keep trooping in a place called Strong Island. No question. So let me hit you off with all the hardness. Rock Kemp, BMD, Eric Sermon, Public Enemy, Keith Murray, Rhyme Strategist, Long Island, no one fat as this. K-Solo, lyric for lyric, we exhibit mass appeal.
De La Soul, from the soul.
My name is Biz Markie.
DJ 151.
Directed, making, and the record breaking. Oh yeah. Cyclone. Trooping in a place called Strong Island. So let me hit you off with all the hardness.
6 Barrel.
Craig Mack, 1,000 degrees.
Busta Rhymes.
Who's this?
Strong Island.
Rock Kemp.
Strong Island.
Eric Sermon.
Strong Island.
Keith Murray.
Strong Island.
Public Enemy.
Strong Island.
Long Island DJ 151.
Record break.
Long Island Dr. Zeus.
Record break.
DJ 151. Long Island.
Kiss my ass if you don't like it.
LXG crew, stand up. That's all I got to motherfuckers.
It's my house. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out.
Tell me who this was.
JVC.
You don't say nothing. You know about him.
Listen to the situation, my son. I'm as serious as cancer or fucking all the time. The people correspond.
JVC Force, straight out of CI.
Living in CI. Who the hell?
I rock for the hometown. I rock for my hometown. I rock for the hometown. I'm from CILIFLY, like a BIRD in the SKY. From TRY to be dash Y.
Oh, everybody, right?
Everybody, man. One thing about us from DJing, we used to DJ from Long Island. I mean, from actually from Nassau County all the way out to Riverhead. We did stuff in Montauk. Yo, we used to travel. We didn't, you know, me. I'm gonna break it down. Me, Griff, my brother, and Chuck and us, and Flavor with us too. We traveled, man. We didn't sit around the hood.
For me to make it from Patchogue or Brentwood as a rapper or a beatbox, that meant I was a big movement. That was like Martin Luther King walking in Alabama, son. Am I right? We wasn't getting no respect. You know that. How many places come on, man? How many places you go? You 151. If you go in New York, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's a big accomplishment to make it from there to here, man.
Long Island really didn't have a voice. You know what I'm saying? Long Island really didn't have a voice until the music industry didn't respect Long Island. It was about the 5 boroughs. You know what I'm saying? And then it's pretty much like how the music industry now is pretty much geared toward like the West Coast, excuse me, not the West Coast, but like the Midwest, like St. Louis, Chicago, and then Atlanta, the Dirty South is making their run. That's how it was in the early 90s. Everybody focused on the 5 boroughs. And then when Long Island came, we came hard.
Yo, show the niggas over here still getting money, son.
Right.
My mother, son. I caught off my eyes now, nigga. Yo, all them niggas is whining, son. And them niggas are doing whatever to whoever watching this shit. Word to my mother, son. And if you want it, niggas got it for the high, son. Cause we getting it. You already know. 11794 dumbass.
A lot of people think, and I think they still do, to think Long Island's in the woods. And, you know, those guys, it's off the map. You know what I'm saying? We used to get that all the time. So we basically created our own scene right here. You know, you had Wyandanch, you had Brentwood, you had CI, you had Quorum, doing all their own little Amityville, doing all their own things. And each crew back then was crews. You know what I'm saying? We had crews. If you wasn't in a crew, you was nothing. You was like, you know, you wasn't in the business if you wasn't in your crew. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we was in the Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah, there had to be a transaction.
Yeah,
from where y'all was.
we been to the Treasury Street, Grandmaster Cash,
Alright.
Cold Crush Brothers. We was looking at them, man. You know, we got Disco 4. You know, the Bobby and Joy had his record label. Yeah. You know, those kind of things, you know, sparked us, ignited us to do the thing. But what we didn't like was everybody kept, you know, excluding Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
We was like, we was considered the boondocks. And I used to get pissed because coming from Nassau County and everybody I know that I grew up with, most of their relatives lived in the city. So I'm like, how can y'all exclude us? Because my family from the city. You know, my mom's the only one in her family. She had like 8 brothers and sisters. She was the only one that lived on Long Island. So I had to go visit my relatives. I had to go up to Harlem, Brooklyn. You know, I had to stay out there, you know.
One thing to know, it's important to know this, because you may feel that, you know, where you live or where you're at, that, you know, it's hard to make it or get yourself heard, et cetera, et cetera. I started my career in 1986 with a song called The South Bronx, and it was on that album, Criminal Minded. But back in the days, you know, the Bronx wasn't really happening. The Bronx wasn't really on the map. Grandmaster Flash and Treacherous 3 and Cold Crush Brothers and all these people had already came out in the 70s. And by the time we got to the 80s, it was all about Brooklyn, it was about Queens. Run DMC, LL Cool J, Houdini, they were the huge acts of the day, Fat Boys, so on. And then it was Brooklyn with all the underground stuff.
Physical, very artistical, giving party people something funky to listen to. That's why the other MCs can't.
I was rocking, Marvin Gaye, Isley Brothers, Barry White, stuff like that, you know. But I mean, once hip hop, you know, came into being, you know, I was a big fan of, you know, Cold Crush Brothers, Melly Mel, Kumo D, you know.
another rapper with ease. I have my impression of the torpedo. Another leader. Second and up. Making them see first and cause I ain't the one.
The fastest way to get yourself heard is to blow up your own neighborhood. And we started that in the South Bronx, the first time somebody even shouted out their hood, so to speak, and it worked. I thought I was just speaking to, you know, my block, my crew right here, and we're just gonna have this little MC battle with this other guy named MC Shan. They were from Queens, so I said, look, I'm just gonna say the South Bronx just for the South Bronx. But it turns out that me shouting out the South Bronx, Brooklyn wanted to hear it, Manhattan wanted to hear it, Jersey wanted to hear it, Connecticut wanted to hear it, and then it branched out, Philadelphia, Washington, all down to I-95, and then eventually the United States.
You ready? Let's go! Let's go! Put your hands up! Get your hands up! Put your hands up! Go! 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 South Bronx! It's all South Bronx! It's South Bronx! It's all South Bronx! It's South Bronx! It's South Bronx!
So this was a shock to us, and I bring this to you because here you are in a place, you know, like this obscure little town. You actually have a main street. That just made me laugh. I was like, Main Street? When was the last time I was on Main Street? But nonetheless, you'd be surprised where real talent is coming from these days. And if you got the heart to really, you know, shout out where you come from, what's going on in your neighborhood, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is, but just shout out where you're from, what's going on in your hood, where you from, and your crew, where you're at. You'd be surprised the whole world wants to hear about where you're from. You may say, man, there's nothing going on around here. This is just where I live, and I got to get to Los Angeles to be heard. I got to be in Manhattan, New York City to be heard. All that's a myth, almost even a lie. Shout out where you're from, stand on your own ground, bloom where you're planted. Lesson number one.
For those that don't know, LI has some of the best MCs. Now, I ain't giving y'all Busta Rhymes because he was born in Flappers and he moved to LI when he was 12. So we got Busta, sorry. But y'all...
When I was a little boy before I moved to Long Island, I'm from East Flappers, Brooklyn originally. Just for the record, Dingo and his family is Brooklyn niggas too.